Okay, let's go. Let's go for another ride into the unknown. The early stages of the awakening sequence. We will examine the specific timing and sequence of this awakening at the end of this section. At present, in relation to the dragonfly metaphor, we are in the stages of climbing up the stem out of the water and into the sunlight. So right now, the people in the world, all these nymphs or clones are climbing up this stem. This is what's up. This is what's happening. This is the stage we're at. We're climbing that ladder. We're climbing up. We're going through this great change right now. The world genetic stage is in full sway of this drama. And because of this, it can be a deeply confusing time. You may already be having glimpses and premonitions of what is to come as your body and psyche becomes the battlefield for this mutative process, particularly if you carry the 55th gift as one of your prime gifts like I do right here, right now. You may be highly susceptible to wild fluctuations in your normal rhythms, energy patterns, and emotions. This is a deep process of integration that will last a considerable time, but that will gradually become more stable. The early stages of the awakening, up until 2012, are said to be the most volatile phase of the process. It is during this phase that our emotional systems are literally being broken down. 2 gene keys are strongly connected with 55th gift. Its programming partner, the 59th gift of intimacy. The audio of intimacy is on my YouTube channel. Go look at it. Oh, why I have all my purses right here exposed like that? I don't want my dragon. Hold on. Let's put it like that. So, freedom. So its programming partner, 59th gift of intimacy, that audio is on my YouTube, and the 39th gift of dynamism. They are also highly active in this process of awakening, or remembering, or becoming, embracing, mutating, changing, blah, blah, blah. The 39th gift and its Siddhi of liberation will challenge every emotional facet of our nature. You can see here the direct relationship between these two higher states of liberation and freedom. The 39th Siddhi actually provokes the final state of freedom. The 39th Siddhi provokes the final state of freedom. Liberation is a dynamic process, whereas freedom is a release. Let me read that again. Liberation is a dynamic process, whereas freedom is a release. Liberation is a dynamic process, whereas freedom is a release. Equally powerful is the 59th Siddhi of transparency, which awakens simultaneously with the 55th Siddhi. You can see the hidden agenda beneath the awakening process in this Siddhi. We humans are being forced to become transparent, like the dragonflies' wings. That is so beautiful. The 59th gift of intimacy, that's uploaded on my YouTube in an audio, is the first step along this road. We have to allow life to crack our hearts open through our relationships. We already know that the 55th gene key is about romance, which is why the awakening of the 55th gift is about relationships. After this awakening has occurred, one will no longer exist as an individual because it's an illusion that's created by your ego. Awareness will operate collectively. The early shattering of the sense of separatedness will take place through your intimate relationships. From now on, the more you try to hide from others, the more suffering you will bring upon yourself. Every hidden agenda must be aired and destroyed, so face it. The mind's obsessive grip on separatedness must also be destroyed. This is the end of the age of selfishness. There will be many who resist this mutation, and there must be, and they will die. They are not a part of what is to come, and this must be respected. Through these people, old energy will leave the world by them dying. There is no choice in this. It is a matter of the collective selection of appropriate genetic material for the future human. The vaporization of the victim consciousness. As we have seen, the 55th shadow is rooted in the notion of being a victim, and in particular of being a victim of emotions, whether your own or someone else's. After the awakening of the 55th gift, the concept of emotions belonging to someone will become absurd. After the awakening of the 55th gift, the concept of emotions belonging to someone will become absurd. Emotions operate in a wave frequency, and at a collective level, there is only one wave which connects us all together. That some people may generate this wave and others may receive it is simply mechanics, like the symbol of the dragonfly. Our new awareness will lift blah blah blah. New awareness will lift us above the dark waters of the victim consciousness, but this will not be a simple transcendence. We will not become less human in this process. In fact, the process can only be triggered by such a deep submersion into our human wounding that it becomes the very catalyst of our transcendence. The process of awakening is a process that has long been known. It is most accurately described through the esoteric science of alchemy. In traditional Taoist alchemy, there is a secret formula known as the Kan and Li. Kan means water and Li means fire. In this alchemical formula, the solar plexus is seen as a cauldron, and emotional energy is the water within the cauldron. The fire beneath the cauldron is awareness, also known as Qi. And this awareness is said to cook the emotional energy, also known as Yin. Yin, the night, the feminine, the divine feminine, the queen energy. The result is a process of steaming in which a third transcendent force arises through the process. The result is a process of steaming in which the third force blah blah. The result is blah blah. So I just wanted to say that my husband is the fire and I am the water and our daughter is the air, and we are certainly steaming each other because he is led by power of death or yin or water, that is me, and I am led by power of universal fire, that is him. So we're leading each other, we're steaming each other, we're ripping each other's egos apart, and we birthed a love child, air sign, Libra, that is perfect balance between us. I'm carrier of gene key 55. This shit matters. The Chinese call this third force Shen, which means spirit. Western alchemy uses similar archetypes, but in a different cultural way. In the West, we tend to see two forces as a man and a woman within us, animus and anima. These two copulate in a mythical union, giving birth to a magical child, often seen as Mercury. And amazingly, your daughter does have Mercury as ruling planet in her chart. It is the fastest moving planet, and she is kick-ass Kaya, fast little girl. And I named her Kaya before I knew of this book, which is fucking epic. In the language of the 64 gene keys, the shadow state is the raw material of eventual transcendence. Without diving deeply into our shadows and freeing the awareness from its roots, we will never experience the elation of the vaporization of the victim consciousness within us. Only in those blissful vapors can we rise above the emotional depths and surf the collective wave, serving the humanity once we break down our egos, as we certainly do in this family, or pride. The rings of humans' gifts. My phone is about to shut down, so let's see how far I can read this one gene key for you. These are two main phases to the awakening triggered by the 55th gift. The first phase is represented by this raising up of mass consciousness out of the shadows of victim consciousness. As this occurs, we will see the world as we currently know it gradually changing shape. Up until now, only a small percentage of human beings have managed to escape the shadow state and deliver the gifts to the world. Only a very, very few have attained the Siddhi level of consciousness. This is all exactly as it should be. Each frequency band depends upon that below and above it. In other words, the more people are transcending their shadow state, the more chance there is for someone at a higher level to make the leap to the Siddhi level. It may take 100,000 people living at the gift level to provide the momentum for one being to make the leap to the Siddhi level. By this same token, one person at the Siddhi level provides the collective frequency for thousands to escape the lower frequency of their shadows and begin to live out their gifts. When a person is freed from the shadow state, they become a creative conduit for life itself. They also begin to fulfill their true destiny within the whole. The final destiny of the whole is represented by the 50th Siddhi and the 6th Siddhi, harmony and peace. I just started writing peace and sparkles everywhere. This means that as a person begins to do what they love to do in life, they begin to co-create these conditions on the physical plane. As a process, this may take hundreds or even thousands of years to reach its final phase. When it does, like the dragonfly, our entire planet will mutate to its next phase of evolution in another reality, represented by the 28th Siddhi of immortality. This word freedom is truly a dimensionless word. As we begin this process of transcending our shadows, miracles can occur in our lives. Freedom is the spirit of the 55th gift. It is the spirit of humanity. As our awareness stretches, the spirit of freedom breaks down the barriers in your life. The fractal lines open, and all around you, an energy that was laying choked in a certain dimension suddenly precipitates unforeseen beneficial circumstances in your life. Every aspect of your life is interconnected, so a breakthrough at the source of your being will ripple out into all areas, some that you perhaps didn't even remember existed. The threefold awakening sequence. In part 1 of this gene key, we looked at a threefold pattern inherent to all universal rhythms, and we charted this through the evolutionary phases of the 3 eons and our current subphase known as the 333, which holds the master genetic sequence for closing the eons. In the last 20 years or so, the world has indeed undergone vast changes in its inner structure. As we move through this incredible portal, we can identify 3 distinct dates or markers that set the trajectory of the process of planetary awakening and fusion. These markers are points of shifts written into the vibrational score of our evolution. They are 1987, the harmonic convergence, 2012, the melodic resonance, and 2027, the rhythmic symphony. 2027 is 7 years from now. These 3 phases of harmony, melody, and rhythm. There's a song that rings on the radio all the time about the ritmo, extremo, ritmo. It's in Spanish, but it's what this speaks of. It's the music bringing people into mutation of 2027, the rhythmic symphony. And rhythm form the imprinting field for the complete restructuring of all vibrational life on our planet. Planet is a planet, holographic multiverse, man. So, 1987, harmonic convergence. Much has been said of the harmonic convergence. It represented a crossing over point in consciousness in which an unprecedented event occurred, triggered by a supernova within neighboring galaxy. 1987 bore witnesses to the beginning of the age of synthesis, a series of unprecedented celestial alignments made possible a shift in human brain chemistry, allowing us to finally perceive the unifying truth behind all the great teachings of the ages. It is important to understand that these marker points are not events but ongoing developmental processes. The harmonic convergence is still taking place today on many levels, and he speaks of this in 2006 when this book was published. When he says today, on many levels, a huge previously made separate spheres of human endeavor come together. We are now seeing the beginning of the synthesis of all the human sciences and arts, of the left brain and the right brain, of the male and the female, and the east and the west. The harmony is, as the great sage Heraclitus said, a hidden harmony, but it is now becoming increasingly more apparent. 2012, melodic resonance. As the most talked about date in recent times, there is not much left unsaid about 2012. Let us then put it in the context of this threefold awakening sequence. In metaphorical language, 1987 was the gestation period, 2012 is the birth, and the 2027 is the coming to fruition of the new order, new world order. The real meaning of the melody is rooted in the understanding of romance. Melody is the aspect of music that catches the emotional breath and causes human beings to dream. 2012 marks the alignment of humanity as a single organism through the breath and the reawakened awareness of the solar plexus center. Whatever deep dreams and longings you hold inside you will be seated and locked in by this date, as we come into resonance with the heart of humanity through the reawakening of the Atlantean Edenic awareness. 2012 also marks a dividing line in human evolution. A divining line. A divining. If by this date you are not in resonance within the dream that is moving into form, your DNA will be locked out of the story. My first love died on full moon night of 2012, November, in Hereford, England. Yeah. This is in fact a perfect natural occurrence. Much of current human DNA must be phased out in order for a new form to be constructed. Therefore, over several generations, we will see a great number of old patterns leaving our world. Bye-bye. For some considerable time, this means that we may have the appearance of two separate realities existing simultaneously. Those who are still living within the old systems, and those who are building the new ones. 2027, the rhythmic symphony. Many different mystics and ancient calendar systems have long predicted the great turning point of human evolution coming to climax in this current age. The human design system, one of the great systems that laid the foundation for this work on the 64 gene keys, uses the 64 codes of the ancient I Ching as a kind of genetic clock to measure the timing of potential future mutations in human DNA. As a genetic clock, it predicts that a huge genetic mutation will sweep through the solar plexus system of humanity beginning in the year of 2027. As such, the year 2027 is a difficult year to put into words. The coming consciousness shift will be an implosion of extremely high frequency Siddhi consciousness. Certainly after this date, nothing will ever be the same again. Thank God. Beginning in the year 2027, our planet will begin a gradual process of falling silent into a state of awe. Between 2012 and 2027, a core awakening fractal of humanity will lay the foundations of a new world that will, over many generations, reshape this planet from inside out. Old systems will crumble as the new order arises unsatched within their midst. This time will mark the phase of recreating Eden, which never left this planet but remained as an energetic blueprint. Harmony and melody will be synthesized here into a divine universal rhythm. That ritmo extremo song that songs on the radio all the time about the rhythm. For the first time, humanity will hear and be the virtuoso soloist in the great symphony of the spheres. At a certain point in our future, beyond 2027, we will finally discover the wonder of simply being, man. Being. There really will be nothing left to do on Earth but enjoy the garden, something our species has not yet managed to do. Because why? Because people decided to create a fucking ego. Part 3, the manifestation. The marriage of the sacred couple. As we touched upon previously, the coming shift will precipitate the end of the age of the individual I and the beginning of the age of the collective we. There are multiple stages in this process, and the first stage concerns a major shift in the frequency of relationships on our planet. The awakening will bring many new phenomena into the world, one of which we have always dreamt of but never yet attained, the ideal of the sacred marriage. The contemporary institution of marriage is an attempt to capture this ideal on the physical plane. However, marriages and relationships until now, even the clearest and purest, have not been able to fully embody the principle of marriage at its highest potential, the actual sharing of the same aura. In order for the ideal of the sacred couple to exist on the physical plane, there must first be a melding of awareness. This is the unio mystica or conjuntio spoken of by the alchemists. Enlightenment or realization has always been a state of flowers in individuals, and historically The world has never seen an enlightened couple in its truest sense. We may have been symbolic examples, and there are certainly couples who have experienced these states together for a short period of times. However, the first stage in the breaking down the barriers between these human forms will be the healing of the yin-yang split between man and woman. The ancestral pressure between the sexes is so vast that it has thus far prevented true melding. When the first relationships experience dual enlightenment, we will know that the deepest wound of all has finally been healed, the wound symbolized by the division of all and fall of Adam and Eve. I was born Adam's son. These sacred marriages will have an unbelievable energy field around them. In fact, they will be at the core of whole new communities. Such experiences will herald the end of sexuality as we know it today, because the same genetic force that repels the sexes is the force responsible for mating. In other words, the human sexual force will gradually be sublimated into creativity and higher consciousness. Over time, this means that the population of our planet will go through a steady and consistent decline. The ancient symbol for the 55th gene key is the cup of abundance, or the sacred chalice. At the shadow level of consciousness, this cup is never full. One side of the relationship is always pulling and the other pushing, or needing and the other rejecting. This situation is caused because of the human tendency to blame, which creates a constant dynamic in the relationship whereby both partners drain each other. How annoying is that? In the human relationships that are coming, the cup is neither half full nor half empty. There is only one awareness in the relationship, so the cup is always overflowing. We will no longer fall in love, but we will rise in love. The great love that exists between the yin and the yang will finally shatter the illusion of our separatedness and release the endless font of energy from the nucleus of creation itself. Ultimately, it will be through the extended families and communities of these sacred marriages that the new awareness will spread. The music of change. Many scientists have found similarities between the structure of DNA and music. Parts of DNA and protein sequences that are often repeated with very minor changes. This imperfect repetition has often been linked to the compositional structure of music, particularly classical music and music of the East. The idea that the human body itself is musical is not so far-fetched. We are a delicate framework of rhythms and melodies, our brain waves, blood circulation, heartbeat, endocrine cycles, and the very fluid of our cells all breathe according to very consistent rhythm. At an even deeper subatomic level, our molecules and their atomic structures also vibrate at very high frequencies and are designed around universal geometries. Seen in this way, come on, baby. The human being is nothing more than a symphony of interwoven rhythms, tempos, and sounds. The 55th gift is deeply connected to sound and the way in which our bodies and emotions respond to sound. The ageless connection between the human emotional spectrum and music is rooted here in this gene key. Perhaps one of the most poignant analogies between the structure of DNA and music concerns the triplet. DNA is structured in triplets made up of combinations of base pairs. The triplet is the key structural foundation of the entire genetic helix. In music, the triplet represents something quite extraordinary. It represents the pure longing of life itself. The musical triplet is always trying to resolve to another note, and in this sense, it has the effect of leaving the human heart and hanging in the air. This longing is exactly what is exposed through the 55th gift. It is the longing to create more. Unlike duality, Trinity is not a straight line. It doesn't rest but repeats, always free and always fresh. As the great change comes to human beings, the ancient fear within us will subside, and we will hear a new kind of music. We will vibrate at a higher frequency that will chemically lift us free from the old genetic fears. We will become one with the music of life and experience the entire spectrum of emotions, from the light to the dark, without fear and without shame. This is a new kind of music for humans. There are no paths to follow and no need for systems or structures to keep us safe. Those old ways are leaving the world. You gotta chew on that. The new human being will no longer try to escape the pure longing of life within him or her. We will no longer fear true freedom because we will operate from an awareness that is beyond the mind and its concerns about the future. Ultimate freedom has nothing to do with your life circumstances. It is the freedom of allowing the self to dissolve into the waves of the ocean. It is the freedom that is born through one's absolute trust in life. Poetic genetics. The highest expression of human language is poetry. True poetry captures the hidden essence of what cannot be said in words. The secret is in the rhythm, the cadence, and the tonal frequency. To be a poet, imagination has to free itself from the structure of language. Likewise, the true nature of humanity cannot be caught or homogenized into a logical framework. Our true nature is wildness, and it is the wildness that scares people. The moment you think you have pinned life down, it mutates. We humans are in deep process of transcending the mental game of trying to understand life. The ancient Indian sages called the world we inhabit Maya, an illusion. Our problem has always been that we try to understand this Maya through an instrument, the mind, bound by laws that prevent true understanding. You cannot use an instrument within the Maya to understand the Maya. This new awareness in humans will bring an end to so many things. One such ending we will witness will be the end of the question of how. As a species, we will no longer be obsessed with intellectual understanding, 'cause it's so fucking boring, man. This will also mark the end of the spiritual seeker. Yeah, buddy. We will no longer fix our awareness on our structures and systems. We will no longer hunger at any level whatsoever. Like the poet or the musician, we will enter into the mystery itself. Humanity is actually at the very early stages of transcending our genetics. As our consciousness begins to rise up on the pure awareness of our emotional system, we'll finally see through the veil that has long held us captive. Once we are free from our minds in this way, we can truly create great poetry of our lives. We are entering into an era of great beauty. It will be a transcendent era in which creativity will rule and life itself will be experienced as art. The possible and likely effects of future genetic mutation. As we transit into this coming phase, particularly in the years following 2027, there are many things about the world that will change. Because of the nature of mutation, there will be sudden quantum leaps that are followed by long periods of integration. All change on a social level takes time, and some of these phases may last hundreds of years. Physical changes. The secret of the 55th gift at a physiological level lies in a single element: salt. Salt has long been known for its purifying properties and its ability to leach toxins from the body. Every single cell within your body contains salt, multiple salts actually. And its balance within the body is a major key to health. Everything connected to this 55th gift is rooted in its literal and metaphorical relationship to water. Oh my God. As we learned through the 32nd gene key, water holds memory. When your emotions become really intense, you release memory through the salt in your tears and or sweat if you work out, What is beginning to happen to humanity now, and what will happen before more and more intense, is a process whereby ancient memories are being chemically released from our bodies. That's why the whole fucking universe is now on Instagram doing squats, because everybody wants to sweat and clear and shed their auric fields and ancestral memories and all this karma. That's why everybody's working out their ass off, literally. Okay? Heightened processes whereby ancient memories are being chemically released from our bodies. Heightened emotional awareness will gradually draw the toxic genetic memories out of the human form. At the physical level, this will occur through your sweat, your tears, and your urine. In the same way that seawater evaporates to leave behind its salt, so human beings are going through a process of evaporation and distillation. At a chemical level, we're beginning to change. A new network of neurocircuitry in the solar plexus is superseding the reptilian fear-based neurocircuitry of the old brain. As the 59th Siddhi testifies, human beings will gradually become more transparent as the body no longer produces the old chemicals created by fear. With the closing down of certain chemical processes associated with the hindbrain, the body's needs will radically change. Without the toxins created by fear, the body will need far less salt, and it will become much less dense. So the thing of people saying that salt is poison, salt is evil, and denying salt to people is absurd, because you have to reach a certain mental capacity, certain way of being for your body to need less salt, and all else is abusive, because everybody has their own individual path and timing, and when you are accomplishing this genetic mutation, and it can take hundreds and thousands of years. Somebody is in Siddhi state now, somebody is living in the gift state now, which obviously I know I am, because I'm reading this fucking book for you online at 1 a.m. in Miami in 2020, okay? Anyway, diet. Read or listen to audio recording Gene Key 19 on my channel. It speaks of the contractual relationship. Gene Key 19, Overeat is 19, COVID-19, Coronavirus 19. It's audio recording. Check it out if you like. Let's get back to Gene Key 55, gift state, the part that speaks of diet. As the human body's need for salt decreases, our digestive system will begin to mutate. This is, after all, a solar plexus mutation. I always tell you, punch yourself in the gut, man. As our digestive system mutates to accommodate a higher frequency passing throughout our DNA, it is likely that our diet will also change. The body will not only stop craving salty foods, but will actually reject them outright. It is also probable that gradually humans will stop eating meat, and we will certainly not be able to tolerate the high salt intake provided by modern processed food. As our children inherit the mutation throughout their DNA, they may well be born with a psychological allergy to salty food and/or meat. All these changes are the result of the mutation and will come in their own time. During the current transition period, human beings actually require even more salt than usual in order for the toxicity of the past to be collectively purified. This is the hidden reason behind the current worldwide revolution in the processed food. Nature knows exactly what she is doing, and we should take heart from this. Digestion is rooted in the mineral realm, in the way in which the body uses and dissolves trace elements from the food and water. In the future, in a totally new way, we will become highly efficient at drawing and combining the elements from food, like the cow does. That's why the human thinks it has to eat from a cow because it has 3 guts. But people will learn to do it themselves. The mechanical means for this will be through our moods. In other words, our bodies will tell us exactly what we need to eat and when, throughout the medium of our mood. Actually, that's how I live since my childhood. I've cooked by, I like to say I cook by colors, but I do the frequency cooking. Yeah, this is what I do. This is exactly what I do. That's why I stopped health coaching and I wiped out my first health coaching Instagram, because I concluded that I'm eating frequencies here. I'm long time into personal alchemy and self-programming through frequency combinations, that I figured there's no reason for me to teach people nutrition, because that's kind of the lowest frequency thing anyway. Anyway, back to the subject. One of the most likely effects of the mutation will be that we will simply not feel hungry as often as we do now, with the result that we eat far less. Added to this, our bodies will begin to find other means of absorbing higher frequency food through air and sunlight. Eventually, far down the road, when the final pieces of the cosmic chess game are in place, the 6th Siddhi will flower within the collective, making our skin totally translucent, thereby allowing us to live purely on light. Yeah. And this is where I think that the skincare I sell is actually a part of this future human being concept, because it is first in a world skincare that makes people age backwards. And I just by using these products for a couple years now, I know in my gut that it's true. All of this. Emotions and decisions, the stilling of the wave, the stilling, not the stealing, the stilling, the stopping. Some of the most radical changes to humanity will concern the emotional system itself. Presently, human beings are victims of the whims of their emotions that are fleeing because feelings are permanent and emotions are bullshit. Their decisions are out of harmony with their true nature, creating a collective energy field of chaos. Thank you very much, motherfuckers. As the mutation takes hold, what we now call emotion will have a completely different role. It will no longer be experienced as emotion at all. It will be a means of communication. The people in whom this mutation manifests will not be caught in the emotional drama of life. They will still feel very single nuance of the emotional environment deep within their bodies, but their awareness will ride on top of these waves instead of being lost within them. The result is that they will feel extremely calm, and one of the ways in which they will be recognized is through the peacefulness in their eyes. Every person carrying the mutation will effectively still the wave in his or her environment. As more and more people are born into this awareness, their collective presence will slowly tune the rest of humanity to a different dimension, a dimension of endless clarity and stillness. This way also deeply affect the way in which human beings make decisions. Decisions will no longer be subject to shifting patterns of emotional chemistry. Decisions will emerge instantly and with great clarity as the collective chemistry across the planet becomes calmer. Such decisions will no longer belong to individuals but will emerge directly from the harmonious nexus of the collective itself. The process of stilling of the wave will ultimately lead to an era of world peace. As a metaphor, this process is akin to an orchestra warming up before a concert. All one hears is a cacophony of different tones sounded on different instruments at random. This is the current state of humanity. When the mutation arrives, the conductor taps his stick on his podium until every instrument is silent. Only when silence has been attained can we hear the hidden harmony that is the true nature of humanity. Only when silence has been attained can we hear the hidden harmony that is the true nature of humanity. The environment. Many people today are very concerned about the environment of our planet and the great damage that is occurring due to the huge pressures of globalization. Before we look at the good news that lies ahead of us, it is important to understand why humanity currently appears to be causing such damage to itself. To understand such things, one has to look at the bigger picture. The planet is a greater body, and just as the physical body of human beings is going through a genetic mutation, so is all life. All life is a delicate network of interwoven threads. It is not possible for one species to undergo a major mutation without affecting all other species. Our current generation is the sacrificial generation. Our collective body is purging humanity of its ancient toxins. From the dietary level, we have seen that the West in particular has such a high salt intake that a huge swath of the population is obese. Fat is the fuel of mutation, and this mutation is leaching out the collective shadows of humanity. Stress is another symptom of increased activity through the solar plexus. Mutation puts the physical vehicle under great stress. At every level of society, the ancient human wound is being expressed through business, government, and the environment itself. This is the true meaning of the myth of the flood. The flood is coming, and it will separate the gift consciousness from the victim consciousness. Global warming and pollution are classic expressions of the human wound, seen on a broader level. These kinds of phenomena represent the last raging of the victim consciousness. With the earth itself playing the role of victim, there is enormous collective fear surrounding the issue of what we are doing to our environment. But the irony is that if humanity were not in the grip of this world mutation, we would inevitably destroy ourselves. The rising of the 55th gift as a physical genetic mutation is literally creating a new species. As our spirit settles and our awareness allows us to experience unity with each other, we also experience unity with all creatures. The new awareness will particularly connect us to animals in a direct way, since their awareness already functions collectively. Although they carry different genetic equipment, their nature is that of the 55th gift, freedom. Not only will we stop eating animals, but for the first time we will experience ourselves as one with them. I now remember sleeping with my goats in a barn as a kid, or going to my dog's house and sleeping with my dog. I always felt one with nature. In everything we do, freedom will play the central role. A major key to the future will be the huge decrease in human population that occurs due to the shifting frequency, the virus, of the emotional sexual apparatus. This busy world we see today will fall silent. Huge tracts of the earth will be reclaimed by wilderness. The sense of space and freedom that is the essence of our planet will return. As we have seen, the nature of freedom is wilderness. We will not have to do anything to heal the planet. There simply will not be enough of us to do harm, so nature will find her own wild balance. The animals will be free to roam. The plants and forests will be free to spread and blossom, and man will be free to enjoy simply being alive. The very force that has driven man to where he is now, the force of fear, will be gone. As we said earlier, it is always difficult to foresee the details of what life will look like in our future. What we can see is the spirit of the ego. It is more than likely that man will continue to harness the incredible technology he has thus far created, and with the rising of our inherent gifts, we are bound to improve on it exponentially. The future will not be a retrogressive period of going back to our primal roots. It will be more a co-creative stewardship of nature. In essence, human beings have always been gardeners, and that is really our role on this planet, to complete the beauty of nature by adding our own spirit to it. The real work of transmutation at a planetary level will be done by the oceans. Ocean Eyes by Billie Eilish. All the toxins created by man will find their way into the water cycle and over time be purified by the salt within the world's oceans. Once again, one can see the elemental power that lies behind this 55th gift, as well as mythical meaning behind the coming age of Aquarius, the age of the water bearer. Future technology and the new science of synthesis. When contemplating humanity's potential future technologies and their use and effect on our world, we should bear in mind that the coming mutation will directly affect the way we think. Our primary awareness is shifting to the solar plexus area All future insights and breakthroughs in conscious will come from this awareness rather than from our logical mind. This will entirely change scientific approach. Instead of beginning with doubt and then working to resolve that doubt through scientific method, we will begin with certainty and use logic to confirm and deepen that certainty. This will give birth to a new era of science and technology, and the future science will be a science of synthesis. Science will work hand in hand with art, music, mythology, and psychology, and of particular importance, it will be rooted in the physical structure of understanding the body. The central axis of all future logical systems involved in this grand new synthesis is sacred geometry. Geometry is the central organizing model that allows the human mind to correlate physics, that the geometry of the 64 is not only present within the tetrahedral structure of DNA, but also underpins space-time itself, as well as being the foundation of music. With the help of advanced computer technology, we can now generate highly complex models of our universe using the law of fractal geometry. Using this geometry, it will become possible to unify all the sciences and arts into one single integrated cohesive whole. Such a synthesis can only be made possible through mass collaboration across a wide variety of fields of expertise. It's called synchronic order of things, okay? Everybody has their role. With our awareness opening up within the solar plexus, punch yourself in the gut. The new physics will set off in a completely new direction. Our most beautiful natural resources is the sun, and it will likely become the true source of our energy. One of the great Western sages of the last century, Mikhail Ivanhoe, spoke of future humanity become a solar civilization. In the hologram of the universe, the reawakening of our inner sun in the solar plexus will have its reflection in our technology. It is a universal law that our external findings mirror our inner development. This statement has even greater implications for our future. As we transcend the very structure of our own DNA, we will break free from the gravitational pull of the lower frequencies. In science, this will be reflected in the new technologies, such as plasma physics, which will shortly enable us to transcend physical gravity and bend time and space. The new science will begin to take humanity into a future that at this moment may well seem like science fiction. Once we have technologies that harness the powers of gravity, we can travel outside our solar system and begin to explore a galaxy and universe. This will mark the phase in which Earth finally becomes a player in a far wider field of intelligence than we currently comprehend. All these breakthroughs are in fact much closer than most of us dare dream. More than likely, the technological foundations will be laid for this completely new epoch of humanity's history in the first half of this very century. Government, poverty, and money. Okay, so we have 4 pages to finish in this Gene Key. Let's hope we're at 59-minute mark. My phone is at 9% battery. Okay, we're good to go. Let me just inhale a little bit because it's hot in here. Okay, government, poverty, and money. To grasp the future social structure of humanity, you need to have a clear understanding of the nature of fractals. You can check out Dan Winters, just Google it. or write it down somewhere. Dan Winters of fractals. He's the greatest thinker of our time. Check Dan Winters regarding fractals. You can learn more about this subject from through contemplation of the, I have to take off my shoe, of the 44, 45, and 49 Siddhis. Each of these concerns the different levels of change that will revolutionize the way human beings interact on a collective level. It is evident that humanity will eventually become linked together by a single pervading spirit, in much the same way that we are linked together today by the material plane through the internet. The creation of the electronic World Wide Web, WWW, is a precursor of what is to come at a genetic level. The nature of this human spirit is freedom, which means that freedom will become the only real human agenda. As the human spirit becomes free, another critical gene key will flower collectively, the 50th gift of equilibrium. This gift is one of the most important in terms of how human beings serve and support each other. Through the 50th gift, humanity is slowly being brought into a state of cosmic harmony. At the social level, the presence of this gift in different societies and racial groupings will bring about a new kind of order. This gift will participate in the gradual demise of corruption and crime. I'm like yawning, I'm falling asleep, sorry. Whoa. 1:18 a.m. Okay, you gotta finish this. At a social level, the presence of this gift in different societies and racial groupings will bring about a new kind of order. New world order. This gift will precipitate the gradual demise of corruption and crime. This means that appropriate assistance will move between the developed countries and the less developed countries, and the problems of poverty will eventually be overcome because there's enough resources for everybody to thrive. Okay? The future of money can also be seen quite clearly through an understanding of certain gifts and siddhis. In particular, the 45th Siddhi. Money is essentially a physical expression of victim consciousness. It represents human fear. Our relationship to money is therefore our relationship to fear. There is nothing that reveals a hidden agenda more quickly than the subject of money. Nearly all money given or received carries a hidden charge. Only money that is given or received unconditionally has no charge attached. That's why when somebody gives you money, take it. But when somebody is willing to lend you money, watch out for that, because borrowing isn't good. If somebody can help you, they will simply give you money. That's what I do anyway. I've done enough of that. So, whoa! Are you yawning too? Let me know in the comments. Only money that is given or received unconditionally has no charge attached. That's why street musicians are thriving. You know, the beggars that play guitars on the street, and people just give them money unconditionally. It's unconditional love. So these people can be living off of small amount of money, but they're happy. They're truly enjoying their lives. As money is handled in a cleaner way, it will become energetically laundered and manifest one of the great cosmic laws, that to give is to receive. The most successful businesses of the future will be based upon the 45th gift of synergy. These kinds of businesses will no longer be based on competition and fear, but will be transparent and highly efficient. Greed and fear are actually highly fucking inefficient. Just saying. As the highest aspects of the 45th Siddhi come into play, money itself will eventually come to an end. When this finally occurs, it will be the greatest symbol of true freedom that our planet has ever manifested, and it will inspire a worldwide celebration the like of which has never been known. As we have seen, this 55th gene key is a part of the codon group called the Ring of the Whirlwind. Together with the 49th gene key, it will cause dramatic changes at all levels of our society. Interestingly, this codon ring codes for an amino acid called histidine, which is released during physical orgasm. The whirlwind moving through the human genome can indeed be linked to a collective orgasm, a spiraling force of consciousness that ripples through the body of humanity, taking us higher and higher through levels of unity and ecstasy. Delicious. Death medicine and the Siddhi supernova. Let's go. Freedom is the only true medicine of the future. There are many levels of freedom, but the ultimate freedom is freedom from believing you are separate from life. The coming awareness through the 55th gene key heralds the absolute end of the fear of death. In fact, the 55th gene key does more than end this fear. It proves that there is no such thing as death. This fear of death actually lies within the 28th shadow, which has a deep connection to the 55th gift. As the 55th gene key mutates, so will the 28th gene key, at least to the gift level of totality. The secret to optimal health lies here in the 28th gift, because it is about the free flow of life force through the physical body. As we humans transcend the old fear, life force will once again flow through our bodies unimpeded. The sheer power and vitality of this energy carries enormous healing potential, and it will literally eradicate all the diseases that riddle humanity. The true nature of illness and disease is rooted in this core fear of death. With the uprooting of this fear, we are truly entering into an age where medicine will be superfluous and will slowly become defunct. Naturally, as the old diseases are purified, some of them may mutate and even become more widespread for a period of time. COVID-19. This process will probably last several hundred years. True healing is connected to our ancestral DNA, and in order for a single person to be in perfect health, their entire genetic lineage must be burned clean. This cleansing takes place through the presence of the Siddhis as they manifest in the world. Hello. Every time a Siddhi manifests through someone, it sends a shockwave of purity back down the entire genetic fractal line. People who bring the Siddhic frequencies into the world also take into themselves the collective shadow of their ancestral line. We stand on the cusp of a Siddhic supernova. The number of these in whom the Siddhis are manifest will very shortly increase in the world as a great incarnation takes place on the physical plane. This incarnation represents the third aspect of the Holy Trinity, the divine feminine spirit. However, this incarnation will not be a single being. It will be a collective spirit using a specific constellation of beings, each occupying a core fractal. For further detailed information on the role of core fractals, you can read 44 Siddhi or check out Dan Winter's. The process of the incarnation of the divine feminine will last many generations, but its final result will be the purification of all the fractal lines throughout humanity, resulting in the burning up of the collective karma stored in human DNA and the eventual eradication of all disease on the physical plane. Regarding purging karma, check out Dolores Cannon. Children and education. Let's go. The final area we'll look at, in many ways the most important of all, it is our children who hold the future in their hands. Many of the young children coming into the world today are carrying the seed of the future mutation in their blood. It will be their children who give birth to the new awareness, beginning around the date 2027. One of the amazing things about children is the clear and innocent way in which they process the emotional wave. Our current generation of children really reflect the chemical changes that are to come, and their emotional nature in this sense is quite unique. These are children whose emotional swings or physical manifestations should not be seen at a personal level, but at a collective level, because they are the expression of collective consciousness that carries in the mutation DNA of the future human being coming in online right now. Our current generations of children really reflect the chemical changes that are to come, and their emotional nature in this sense is quite unique. These are children whose emotional swings or physical manifestations should not be seen at a personal level, but at a collective level. Of course, these children need to be given the usual boundaries that any parent gives a child, but with a greater sense of freedom as well. The mutation is coming to our emotional system, and as it moves through our chemistry, it will tend to throw up erratic behavior patterns and unpredictable emotional phenomena. The real key is for parents not to assume that there is something wrong with their children, but to give them more love and to be extremely patient and self-sacrificial. Don't tell your child to cry it out. You go cry it out and go back to your child. As for the children of future generations, some of them will carry the mutation and some will not. The mutation will appear all over the globe. It will not be difficult to spot these who carry the new awareness because they will not display the emotional symptoms we usually associate with young children growing up. Parents will find a new kind of peacefulness emerging within their families simply from having one of these children in their home. All these children will display unique gifts from an early age depending on their hologenic profile and their prime gifts. One of the great changes these children will bring will be the education system. Because their main center of awareness is located outside of their brain, they will appear exceedingly closer to osmosis than repetition, and their memory will be extraordinary. One might have the impression from all of this that these children will be very vulnerable within our existing society. However, this is not true. Because of their gifts, they will not require social treatment of schooling. On the contrary, they must integrate into normal life. Wherever they go, they will draw the experience to them that allows them to further enhance their gifts. Their strength derives from their very transparency. They will be moved by a force so powerful that it is beyond our current understanding. It would be impossible for such children to ever feel alone or victimized. The presence of these children throughout society will reveal the limitations of existing educational system. One of the practices from our past that may very likely make a comeback will be the system of apprenticeship, where children with specific talents become apprenticed to specific teachers and learn about life through the world rather than from behind a desk. At every level, the 55th gift of freedom will make itself known. Hi, how are you? Oh boy. For a child, freedom is about play. It is though play that a child learns about his or her world. Thus, it is likely that the children of the future will no longer be sent to schools at an early age, but will be given the amount of time and space they need to fully, truly flourish. As these children grow up, they will initiate the first great pulse of the new epoch into the world. It is therefore imperative that they are fully integrated into the existing social structures of the planet. Many of them may become teachers themselves, or doctors, lawyers, business people, and other normal professionals. Because they can feel life at a holistic level, they will be able to introduce subtle forms that create a ripple effect at all levels of society. Everything they touch will become more efficient. These will be the people who hold absolutely no fear within their system, but can sense the fear in everyone else. This level of empathy will make them masters of relationship. Slowly and imperceptibly, these children and their children's children will transform our planet. As was mentioned earlier, higher consciousness is literally going to breed the victim consciousness out of humanity. It reminds me how my husband always told me, I want to breed you. When we met, like, he right away spoke of us having babies. It was just like crazy. It was like, you okay? Conclusion. All of the above is an intuitive exploration into the archetypal codes contained in the 64 gene keys as seen through the lens of 55th gene key. As such, it contains the frequencies of our common future rather than the specifics. It is the frequency laying behind the entire work on the 64 gene keys that is of prime importance. There are those who resonate fully with these frequencies and those who do not. This book is written for those of you who do resonate with such higher frequencies. Everybody has within their being a barometer of truth. And this manifests in different ways within different people. If you have felt the breath of truth within these words, then you are one of those who is ready to dive deeply into your own shadows and own them fully. Freedom comes at a price, and that price is transparency. You must own every negative feeling and tendency within you and take full responsibility for it. You must draw back the subtle arrows of blame, and you must locate very hidden vestige of fear within you being and embrace it without fear. Once you are transparent and truthful with yourself and others, This seed of the future awareness can take root in you. Even though it may not be present in your genetics as a physical mutation, you can still resonate strongly to the energy field behind it. Furthermore, if you are open-hearted and humble enough, this awareness will inevitably awaken within you, and it will use your life as a launching pad to soar into the skies of freedom and prepare the ground for the true world of high romance that is to come. So that is the 55th gene key. The clown of the gene keys, or the joker of the gene keys, because there are 64 gene keys in my life's path. The gene key 55, the dragonfly's dream. The little dragonflies right there is the most unique out of all gene keys because it has only 2 words in it: victimization, the shadow state. The gift is freedom, and once that's attained, you activate freedom in others. That's why it is the clown gene key. And let me know how you enjoyed my reading. I'll tell you what time it is. It's Monday, March 23rd, 1:38 a.m. So I enjoyed reading for you. I didn't plan to read on a video. That's why I asked for your feedback. Would you rather have me read on a video or just an audio? As I can do both. You can create your Gene Key hologenic profile on genekeys.com for free. There's a game called Akasha that goes along with Gene Keys. And imagine this, I created this as a child. See this dragon? The web and the dragon. Created it like a little girl. And then I grew up. Then I traveled the world. Turned from a nymph to a dragonfly. And now I'm here for you, to help others achieve the states you guys want to achieve. Let's close my other doors. So that was Portia Hangout for the night. Thank you very much, my Portia, your Portia. That's my place of privacy. Boom, boom. Anyway, I said what I had to say. My cars are going to sleep. Good night, my babies. I love you. So, Sarkan belt Sarkanais. That's my saying because that's another video. Anyway, see ya.